Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Ryan, and I'm a veterinary behavior residency graduate.
Hi, I'm Dr. Serena. I'm a veterinarian and veterinary behavior resident. So, Dr. Ryan, you were showing me that you manage a Reddit page as a
Yes.
vet behaviorist. So, tell us what's going on the Reddit
Let
page.
me try and share it. Again, I'm not very good with technology always. Here we go. So, someone was asking me about his cat that has Pica or Pica. Everyone says it differently. And just in case someone doesn't know, basically that means that a cat or a dog or whatever animal will eat something that's not actually food. It's kind of like a behavioral problem of eating foreign objects. So cats with pica might eat strings and ropes and plastic bags is a very common one, and cardboard boxes and all kinds of crap that's not actually food. Uh, and this person, their name is your mother's buttocks. Hmm. Yeah, that's actually the name. The person was asking, kind of like explaining about the cat, and was asking that he actually, or saying that he actually heard that maybe fiber, like changing the cat's diet and adding fibers or changing the diet into a specific diet that might just have a higher fiber content, might reduce that pica behavior. And he was wondering if that's true and if anyone has experience with that. So what do you think?
So, Pica, the clinical signs for this particular cat. So, this cat has gone for what I suspect is a foreign body surgery to
Yes.
remove whatever was in there. There isn't any description about what type of material was there, but
Um,
I would say plastic is probably the most common one. And I wouldn't necessarily say that fiber itself would reduce the behavior of pica, but increasing their satiety or satiation, which fiber can do.
mhm.
We should also note that this cat's been vomiting small amounts of food in white foam. And I'm of the opinion that any vomiting in any cat is abnormal, including hairball vomiting, because
Mhm.
wild cats don't vomit hairballs. And so if there is a cat that is vomiting hairballs, I think that there's a motility issue. So pica itself, I think, first is a medical problem before it is a behavior problem.
Yeah, kind of like what I would say many times about excessive licking or excessive scratching or something like that, that sometimes might be a compulsive disorder, but we need to rule out the medical issues. And I think it's actually kind of a general thing that we can say about behavior issues in general, that we definitely want to rule out medical causes before we go and kind of blame it on that. And if you mentioned the kind of like the satiety, and the fibers might be helping with that, and I completely agree that it's always, I mean, it's worth a try. It's not going to harm the cat to receive a bit more fibers, at least in most cases. Of course, talk to your veterinarian first to make sure that it's safe and that you're using the right kind for your cat and all of that. But usually it shouldn't be a problem, and you should see improvement usually pretty fast if it's just something like that, that the fibers can help. If you tried it and I don't know, it's been like many weeks and things are basically the same, then it's unlikely to be, just a dietary thing. But
Yeah.
it kind of brings me to, and by the way, we have a pretty a nice bunch of studies regarding pica in cats. And it shows like the statistics of the different materials that they eat, and they actually show that a cat that is allowed to eat ad lipidem, meaning that they always have access to food, is less likely to have pica behaviors. And, that also makes sense, even if we're going back to satiety, right? Because if the cat has access to food all the time, then, if they want to eat, if they want to have something in their mouth, they're going to go and eat the food.
And the other thing that we might consider is the type of protein of that food as well. So if, for instance, this cat is displaying an abnormal behavior, so it's eating plastic or rubber bands or something like that, maybe it's underlying health issues, inflammatory bowel disease.
Mm-hmm.
So a small amount of vomiting could be inflammatory. And are they doing this behavior because of some sort of gastrointestinal pain? So something else to kind of consider as well.
Yep. Yeah, and I agree. Now, going back to, let's say that we did rule out the medical causes, and we think it is behavioral.
Mm-hmm.
I attended an online presentation by a board-certified behaviorist. You might know him. His name is Dr. Dennenberg. And he mentioned that, because I said about like feeding the cat whenever the cat wants, right? So many people would say, oh, but the cat might become overweight.
Yeah.
And I have to say that, that wasn't still probably one of my biggest concerns, giving the cat the option to eat all the time.
Right.
But what Dr. Dennenberg said, and I hope I'm not actually, like I didn't misunderstand him or anything like that, but what he said, that it's normal for a cat, like let's say in nature, or if in studies that they let cats eat whenever they want to eat, the cats like grazers basically. So they didn't eat a lot all at once. Instead, they ate a little bit over 8, 9, 10 times a day. And that's kind of like a normal feeding behavior. And he was saying that if a cat will eat everything, and again, I'm kind of like probably rephrasing things, and it's not exactly the way that he said it. So, Dr. Dennenberg, if you're watching it and I'm mangling what you said, I apologize. You can also write in the comments what you meant. But sorry. But what he said, and I have to agree, I mean, it does have it makes a lot of sense, is that if the cat is stressed, or if the cat had some, previous experiences that kind of made the cat behave in that way. Like, for example, people many times would say, okay, you only have 5 minutes to eat and then I'm taking away the bowl, because that kind of like makes it easier on them to know when the cat is going to defecate, or when the dog is going to defecate, or anything like that. And by that, we're actually teaching the cat that he needs to eat a lot right away, because he's not going to be able to eat later on. So we're actually kind of creating this overeating behavior. But like in normal conditions, a cat might be able to graze a little bit all the time, and then again, he will be satiated. Help me here. Help me up.
Satiated.
What she said. He will. There's some things that I don't think I'll ever be able to say, but will feel that he's full, that his belly is full and not hungry anymore, by having access to the food throughout the day instead of just on specific times. and then it's less likely to have that pica behavior.
Yeah. So what you're referring to is that you put the food bowl down and they binge eat. So they eat the entire bowl in one sitting. And then often, because they ate so much, they'll vomit after that.
Mm-hmm.
So binge eating itself is abnormal in cats and dogs. But we can perpetuate that through withholding food. My problem is that I am a proponent of cats having wet food. And if you are leaving wet food out all the time, it will go bad. You're not supposed to have any sort of like thing that can grow bacteria out of the fridge for more than 2 hours based on food safety.
Yeah.
But there are these little feeders that have an ice pack in it.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can put an ice pack in, and then some of them are microchips. So obviously the ones with the microchips are more expensive, but there's some that don't have a microchip. If you have a multi-cat household, you might want to have a microchip because then you're going to have one cat that goes and eats everything.
Oh, like a microchip reader that only opens when the right cat approaches.
Exactly. So maybe you have a senior cat that's on a kidney diet, and then you have another like younger cat that's not supposed to, or you don't want them eating the kidney diet, or vice versa, the senior cat eating the kitten's food, because often that's higher in protein and fat and it's tastier. But that's sort of why I don't like free feeding kibble. But I personally have 2 automatic feeders, one for each cat, and it drops a small amount of food. So like 1/6 of a tablespoon, 1/6 tablespoon, something like that, something small. I think it's 1/6 of a cup. But they get smaller, more frequent meals, and that I find is helpful for them, because then I don't have to worry about my intercat aggression at the food bowl. The timers are at the same time, so one goes this way, one goes that way, and they know which way to go for their feeder.
Yeah.
But that's how I regulate it, because I feed them breakfast and dinner wet food. And then during the day, they get small bits of kibble when I'm busy working.
Yeah.
So that's how I feed my cats. So it's just because kibble, in order to make the shape of the kibble, you actually have to have more carbohydrates. And we know that cats are oblivic carnivores. And so that's my take on it, even though Dr. Denenberg would say otherwise.
Well, we're allowed to have our own opinions. But let's maybe talk a little bit about kind of like things that we can do to, in case the cat has a pica, or even in general, like let's say we want the cat to feel full all of the time, right? So, and by the way, you mentioned like those cats that will binge eat and then might throw up. There's also those cats that will throw up because there's like too much time between the feedings. So usually they will throw up like early in the morning, just before they have their breakfast. Because I guess even like, all the acids in the stomach, like the system is kind of like getting ready, because again, they're usually fed at the same time of the day and they're on an empty stomach. So it kind of causes this intestinal upset, and or gastrointestinal upset, and they might throw up on an empty stomach. And then many times the recommendation is again to kind of like feed them as late as possible, or using something like those automatic feeders that might also give them some food in the middle of the night in case the cat is awake at those hours of the day. But what would you recommend in general to kind of like help slow down a cat from binge eating?
Oh, puzzle feeders are awesome.
Yeah.
So I have this little ball. I'll show it to you.
Okay. Yeah.
It's like right here.
We'll wait.
So this one, it opens up, and then there's this little opening. And so Yo-Yo, our kitten, she's crate trained. She sleeps in the crate at night. But she gets a bedtime snack. So her bedtime snack, just so that, she's not bored. I put the bedtime snack inside here. So put a little bit of kibbles in there and some treats. And she just has to roll that around and eat it. We have other puzzle feeders, but for the most part, the puppy has taken.
I mean, you can say which company makes it, and just like for our viewers or listeners, we're not getting sponsored by anyone.
Yeah. Where's my camera? This one is the double treat ball. I have no idea what the brand is.
Who actually makes it?
No, but it has like a spot where you could put catnip on one side.
Oh, nice.
And then treats go in the other side.
And is it one of those that you can, like rotate or decide how big the hole is, or kind of like
not this one, but I do have one that like you pull on it. It's one of those like wobble style.
Yeah.
Like you can change where the holes are.
Yeah.
But the puppy is taking over that one.
Yeah, well, of course, again, like
puppies
kids,
also like
not there if they want to take. Yeah,
anything can be a toy.
Yeah, I mean, sadly, I don't have anything kind of like laying around here, and I also don't want to go into like too much like specific items, because there's so many different companies out there that makes them now. But for example, there's like the slow feeders. You know what? Let me maybe try and quickly give an example on Amazon. But slow feeders are food bowls that have kind of like ridges in them. Again, for the listeners that are not actually showing road ridges, a slow feeder cat. I'm a guy. I can't do too many things at the same time. And when let's see.
We also have that Cat-It digger. I have the Cat-It tower. Again, not sponsored by Cat-It, but it's a tower where they have to like knock things down and different levels. And then the digger, which just has these little cups where they put their paw in and pull it out.
Okay.
So these slow feeder bowls are really good for the first time cat who's never experienced any puzzle feeder.
Yeah, because they're a lot easier. And the cat needs to it even slows down the cats a little bit by not allowing them, and dogs have it too, but by not allowing them to kind of like just open their mouths and scoop a ton of food all at the same time and like swallow it. Sounds like when they say chew 20 times, every bite that you put in your mouth, chew 20 times, and then you're not going to get fat because I don't know. I mean, really, that's not my problem. But I can't even imagine chewing something 20 times. But I do assume that if it takes you longer to eat, then you will feel fuller. And that's something that we know, like the mechanism of how the brain get the signals to basically stop being hungry also depends on the time that the food is in the stomach, and because the body needs to secrete hormones and all of that. So slow feeders can definitely work. I'm gonna
boredom. Do you think that cats who experience pica are just maybe playing with something because they're bored, and then part of their predatory sequence is to consume the item at the end? Do you think it's just potentially boredom? Oh, we have those little nice ones as well.
Yeah, so that's exactly the one I wanted to show, because I actually like it very much and I keep recommending it to my clients. So it's a mouse. It looks like a mouse. Oh, sorry, I'll move this thing. It looks like a mouse. It usually comes with kind of in here. Let me open this picture. It comes with this, but that's only if you're actually using dry food or treats. But you can decide how big the opening is, so you can make it harder or easier. So again, the cat needs to like play around with the mouse, with the prey, in order to get the food. And if it's too easy, make the hole a little bit smaller, so he needs to toss it around a little bit more. And
Yeah.
by that, we're kind of like slowing down their feeding habits and getting them to work for their food. So there is something in nature called, well, maybe not necessarily in nature, but called counter freeloading. That basically means that, and it was proven in different studies, that basically when you give different animals, you give them an option to eat food straight from a trough or a food bowl or something like that, but you also give them an option to forage for their food or to hunt their food or something like that, even though they need to actually work to get their food many times, many times they will actually choose that over just getting the food, which is very different from how I see things and how I'm like, just feed me, I don't want to work. But that's me personally. I'm not a cat, so.
Yeah. But I think part of it is that there must be some additional reinforcement within that kind of play. Do they get additional dopamine from playing and then eating? Which maybe that's part of the case, is that through that play they get an increase in some sort of reinforcer.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure, because when we see that they don't get it, so we see it a lot in zoo animals or in pigs and cows and animals that are not allowed to express their normal feeding behaviors and are not allowed to, for example, forage. They will start doing kind of alternative behaviors, kind of like maybe stereotypic behaviors or vacuum behaviors and all kinds of abnormal behaviors that are supposed to, and we think that maybe the mechanism is kind of like you said, it's kind of like a self-rewarding behavior.
Yeah.
And it's kind of sad, but that's probably the reason.
Yeah, I think we talked about cribbing in horses and the endorphin release that they experience through that cribbing behavior.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So definitely, even for the person that, if we still remember the original question, but like the person that asked about using fibers, so I would say that I don't think that it's like a lack of fibers that's causing that behavior. And so if fibers would actually do anything to reduce that pica behavior or to reduce any ingestive behavior, it's more likely because of, its effect on kind of like slowing down or feeling less hungry or something like that. And that's why, if that doesn't work, there's no problem using any of the techniques that we mentioned, like the slow feeders, like the food puzzles, food toys, automatic feeders, or anything like that.
The other question that this individual had was, do pica cats grow out of the behavior?
So we can try and quickly answer it. The answer is maybe. I wouldn't take a chance. So again, it's really hard to answer, especially when someone is asking specifically about their own cats, because we never diagnosed the cat. We don't know if he actually has pica or is it something else. And if he does, we don't know what the cause of the pica is. It some screwed up brain mechanism that's causing it? Is it obsessive compulsive disorder or compulsive disorder? Is it a medical condition? Again, we just don't know, so we can't really give an answer. So in some cases, they might grow out of it, but a cat that sounds like has a tendency of eating those things that are not food, I would doubt that it's just going to go away.
Yeah,
What
I
do you
would
think?
agree. I would agree that if, let's say, for instance, we had this cat, we did nothing. We didn't increase enrichment. We didn't change the diet. And we thought, oh, it'll grow out of it. I would say no.
Mm.
And if you try and implement management strategies, changing up the diet, changing of the routine, increased enrichment, then maybe. But I think it's not that they're growing out of it, is that we're fulfilling the need for expression of normal behavior
Right.
elsewhere.
So we're actually addressing the cause.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I would say that seeking advice or seeking the help of a veterinary behaviorist is probably a lot cheaper than surgery. So think about that too when you're deciding what to do next. I think that's about it for today, right?
Yeah, probably. I think we're good for that one.
Yeah. Awesome. So if anyone has any other questions, like always, feel free to comment down below and let us know what you think.
Yeah, and if you don't want to write in the comments on YouTube, you can head over to Dr. Orion's Reddit page, Ask a Vet Behaviorist.
Yes, ask about behaviors. And don't ask me medical questions there, because I usually just block those people or just like, sorry, it's against the rules.
There is another page for that.
Yeah, there's Ask a Veterinarian or Ask a Vet. There's actually Ask a Veterinarian and there's Ask a Vet. So there are more subreddits to ask medical questions. Have your questions, feel free.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. So we'll see you next week, hopefully.
Yep. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.